Welcome to Community Connections with Children's Services Council of St. Lucie County. I'm just one of your hosts, Sean Boyle, and with me is
Ashley Ma.
Welcome to the half hour. And you know, we could do 2 hours, but we're going to limit it to just half hour. I'm just kidding. Welcome to the half hour monthly show that's all about connecting you, the viewers, to resources and things that are available in our great community we call St. Lucie County. Now, we at the Children's Services Council, you're going to know this right from the jump, not media professionals. That's why we're in the WLX studio, the St. Lucie Public Schools studio, so they can help us do this show, and we're very grateful for that partnership. But we at the Children's Services Council focus on 5 priorities, and those priorities are: 1, making sure every baby's a healthy baby. 2, stopping child abuse before it happens. 3, keeping kids off the streets. 4, keeping them in school. And 5, keeping them off drugs, alcohol, and other risky behaviors. You were doing that with authority today.
Yes, we're 5.
And when I say we focus on those priorities, what we do is we track community indicators aligned with all 5 of those priorities and help develop and fund programs that are available to all families in those 5 priorities.
And while this show is a great way to get introduced to those programs, we certainly don't have enough time to talk to you about every single thing that's happening in our community. So there are a couple different ways that you can get more information about the programs that we work with. And Sean brought props today, so we're going to talk about them. So we've talked on the show before about our family guide, and our family guide is changing. Our family guide is shrinking. It's becoming
Get
more,
your glasses out, folks. Get your glasses out.
It's becoming more and more consolidated, but we are excited that we have updated this guide to programs, which Sean is very nicely displaying for you here. This is available on our website. We are in the process of translating it into both Spanish and Creole so that we will have that available. But this is kind of a quick look at all of the funded programs that we work with in the community, as well as their contact information. Now,
and 54 of them, excuse me, 54 of them altogether.
54 this year. Now, if you've noticed, it's getting hot and it's raining. And what does that mean?
Florida.
Florida, yes. Summer is coming. Newsflash, if you have kids in school, they're about to not be in school anymore because summer is coming. So we also have these postcards that you will start to see all throughout the community that will talk about all of the programs we are working with this summer. They have a QR code that takes you right to our website where all their information is. We are actually contracting with 19 programs this summer that are serving about 22, 24 locations. So quite a few programs. A lot of performing arts programs this summer, which is fun.
Special needs?
A lot of special needs programs, which we're really excited about. And one really cool program that I feel like I've been talking up to a lot of people is a very exclusive program for juniors and seniors that are interested in biomedical sciences. So that's like, you know, a very small group. But you had the opportunity to visit with them last summer, and what a cool program.
They asked me to speak, which I was...
In the biomedical science.
I'm like, of course I'll speak at the biomedical science. And so I had this, they all had worked on projects, and I had this gentleman this young student explain to me what he was working on, and I looked at him, I'm like, look, you got to dumb this down for me. I don't understand a word you're saying. It was incredible, though.
So anyway, all that information is also on our website at cscslc.org. But if you haven't started thinking about where your kids will be this summer,
now's the time.
Now's a good time. I know for a fact that a couple of our programs are already on waiting lists for summer. So,
and another cool thing that we do in the summer is we also work with St. Lucie County, just the county itself, Board of County Commission, whatever you call it, St. Lucie County, to make sure that swim lessons are available at a reduced cost so that families can get their kids' water safety lessons. A lot of summer camps are able to take advantage of that as well. We also partner with the Chamber of Commerce. We realized probably, this is about 10 years ago?
Yeah.
10 years ago, people would apply for summer funding and they'd want to take field trips to Busch Gardens and Orlando, and that's fantastic. But we didn't want to utilize St. Lucie County dollars to go
everywhere else.
So we partner with the Chamber of Commerce, and many of our summer programs explore the wonderful, cool things that are available in St. Lucie County, such as Lisa's Kayaks, Sail a Key. They go to a Mets game, Oxbow, all that stuff.
Yeah,
and what's really cool about it is, you know, we're a coastal community, but you'd be surprised how many kids have never even seen the ocean. So this is an opportunity for them to be on the water in a safe place and really explore all that St. Lucie County has to offer.
Yeah, really fun stuff happening this summer. So definitely check out our website, get that information. We'll keep talking more about it as well.
This is a random thought. and our producer and the director of the studio, I don't know his official title, but the guy that organizes all this, we have 54 programs. We could totally do like a Jerry Lewis telethon style, have every program come up. I'm sure Craig would be happy to hang out here for 12 hours.
He would love that. I'm certain.
We could raise money for something. All right, so I digress. I also have another prop. We have two more announcements before we get to our very excited guest, who's a month late, by the way. It's usually our January guest, but we'll talk about that later.
It's not her fault entirely.
I know, it's totally our fault. So our annual report is out, and you may say, Sean, Ashley, you've talked about this before. It's because you haven't read it yet. And we need you to read it. It's purposely designed to be read in 5 minutes or less. Get a high level, a lot of numbers and percentages in here, but more importantly, you know, it talks about the impact that our programs had on the children, and there's success stories in here, because we always say behind every number is multiple success stories of hope and impact. So please check it out. It's on our website again, www.cscslc.org. And just one more announcement, because we've got 3 of them coming up.
We do.
So through our St. Lucie Reads effort, which is an effort to bring everybody that's working on reading together to make sure that we're complementing each other and building off each other's successes. Our role in that, besides convening them, and that's through John Caesar, aka Bookman. And if you know, you know. If you don't, you'll find out. But one of our efforts is to make sure that children have books in their hands at home. If we want them to read, we can't just expect them to only read at school and then go home and watch TV. They need to have reading materials in their home. One of our efforts is what we call a book vending machine. We're currently in
5
locations?
5 and 3 more coming. Yes.
5 locations, 3 more coming. It's very exciting. It's literally a vending machine with lights, bells, and whistles. It kind of looks like something you could see in Vegas, if you will. The kids get a token. The school or the library gives that token based on whatever criteria, maybe because of good behavior, maybe because they hid them in certain spots, and they put a token in there, and they're able to select their book. We're very excited about that. And what I like about it is it's not just us saying, here's your vending machine. The schools and the entities actually have a buy-in as well.
Yes, and we've had great feedback from the schools that have had them in place, kids who are more consistently independent reading. We know Windmill Point Elementary, for example, has a program where if they catch children independent reading, that's how they earn a token, and then they can get their books. So we're really excited about the new ones. So we're welcoming into our book vending machine family Rivers Edge Elementary, Manatee Academy, and Savannah Ridge this year. And so we're excited about that. We're excited for the kids in those schools that will get to experience it. It's a really cool thing.
It is very cool. And shout out to Bookman, aka John Caesar.
Yes.
All right, so we have a guest.
We do.
She has a full name, but we're going to put the word just in front of it. We may or may not explain why, but that's what we're going to do.
She is I don't know. Do you earn a jacket after a certain number of appearances on
like
the
Saturday
show?
Night Live?
Yeah. I feel like we need to get you.
Jacket,
we need to get you a jacket. But no, we have a great ongoing guest with us, Kim Eardley from Families of the Treasure Coast, and Sean mentioned we typically do bring you in January to start our year off right. So we're a little delayed this year, but we're still going to start the year off right.
We had problems with the negotiations with the 2 agents.
Well, my contract stipulations, those green M&Ms were holding everything up.
Serious. But Kim is a longtime great friend of ours at the Children's Services Council, and I feel like as often as we talk about Families of the Treasure Coast in our office, we are certainly big fans and talk about you often. But for anybody who's watching who maybe is not super familiar with what you guys are and what you do, give us a little synopsis of what Families does in the community.
So Families of the Treasure Coast is an organization that focuses really on that family engagement, that family connectedness. We want to make sure that our parents are engaged with their kids, that they are equipped with the tools, skills, and knowledge that they need to stay connected with their kids all through the different developmental stages of life. We look at things as prevention models where we want parents to talk to their kids openly and honestly about really tough subjects. And sometimes parents have some difficulty with that, so we are there to support them.
I'm sorry, I
No,
don't want to
please.
interrupt. I love that you just said tools, skills, and knowledge, because I think often, and we've heard this about parenting programs in our community, parents feel like you're coming in and saying, you're not doing a good job, or
They're judgmental.
yeah, you're
Right.
doing it wrong, and this is why your kid's in trouble, or whatever the situation might be. But you guys kind of take a different approach, and I love
Definitely.
that.
Well, we know how parents feel. They're very hesitant to come to parent trainings. Anything that says training or school or education, they're going to be very opposed to. We don't see parents as needing to be fixed. We don't see parents as needing to be better parents. We see parents that are doing their best every day. It's a matter of what can we do to support them in that. So we are really focused on building relationships with parents. We enjoy our families, and we really want to stay with that family from really birth to graduation, because parenting doesn't stop. And every stage gets a little
Doesn't
harder.
stop at graduation either. Let me tell you from experience, does not stop at graduation.
No. It never stops.
And it's different. Like every stage is different. Every kid is different.
Yes.
Kim is a sounding board for me often about the challenges that I'm having within my own children. But you know, it's never the same.
Never.
No day is
No
ever the
child's
same.
the same. No situation is the same.
Right.
Just as you think you've got it figured out, something new pops up on you. So that's what I meant about the tools, and the tips and the knowledge, because we can teach about, developmental skills and where your child should be at this step in this age, but it really is going to depend on the child, the environment, what's going on at school. So we look at, I guess, a wholesome approach, a whole child approach to that.
You help parents find that manual that mysteriously didn't come with them when
None
they
of
were
us
born.
got.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the first thing we do, I'm not a perfect parent. Nobody is a perfect parent, and so we got to recognize that, right? We are all just doing our best, and our stressors change as our society changes. Our kids are dealing with a lot of tough topics on a daily basis. They're bombarded with messaging. So, what do parents need to work with that? Work within that.
It's this is a random thought that just popped in my head. Welcome to Sean's brain. But I remember when my mom passed. I remember thinking, in the relay, I wrote in a relay of life. My mom only had like a 25-year head start. When I was 25 years old, I did not have all the answers.
Right.
So as much support as we can give each other, and based upon, your great team's experience and other parents. You've mentioned it before in an award ceremony that it needs to be the village, right? And you guys are part of that village that helps people raise their children.
And I think sometimes people are afraid to identify their village. And so that's a big part of what we do too, is helping people recognize the other resources in the community. A lot of times parents aren't even aware that maybe there's after-school programs, summer programs, more affordable options for daycare. So sometimes it's just a matter of helping them connect those ways.
So when you say that you help parents and from birth to graduation and,
And beyond.
and can we extend graduation?
I've got a 25 and 22 at this point.
I've got a 25-year-old, I'm just saying. But, and I'm like, yes, you have to do your taxes.
Yeah, right.
But,
Please.
please. I don't want to bail you out of jail. But when you say that you help parents, can you kind of go through some of the, for lack of a better word, the methodology or the way that you help parents?
I'd love to. So most of the time parents contact us, or an agency may contact us on behalf of the parent. So our first real, I think, talk with them is all about just explaining what we do and why, or how we can help them. So first it's just a conversation, really just finding out more about you and what your family needs are. And then from there, we'll maybe look at some of our programs. And we have some great programs, such as our Parent Teen Community Connection program. That one really focuses on both the parent and child both getting education sessions. And at the end of those education sessions, we come back together, we discuss what we've learned, and then the parents usually have something to go home with the child to kind of continue that conversation, maybe practice those communication skills. That program is 10 sessions, and we cover everything, and it is a large amount of topics: social media, communication, self-esteem, body image, drugs and alcohol avoidance, teen pressure, peer pressure. For our younger ones, maybe we're going to concentrate on how to middle school. What does middle school look like? That's a really tough time for some of our kids. So that program really works for kids from 10 to 18. Then we have our program, Redirecting Children's Behavior. That program really focuses on kids probably about 3 to 8, I'd say. And that is really just for parents. very short sessions, 4 1-hour sessions, but it gives you practical hands-on skills you can use to do positive behavior interventions, or just setting goals and setting boundaries, which sometimes it's just a matter of how do we do that in our household. And then one of our other programs for our tweens, I say this is perfect for our tweens, that's when they get a little maybe mouthy and they're pushing a little hard against mom and dad.
What are you talking about? Just kidding. I'm kidding.
So we call that one Secrets of Modern Parenting. And helps parents really focus on what do I do when they seem to be so disrespectful, and it's not a matter of what do you do, what does the child do, but let's take a look at how do you feel when this is happening? You know, do you feel
How are you
disrespected? How are you reacting?
Yeah.
Right.
Remind me, what grade is or what ages are considered tweens?
6. We consider it 6.
6th grade?
Because,
So I
about
coach a
6th
5th grade basketball team,
Yep.
and what you just said, I'm like, oh, that's our basketball team.
Yeah.
Yes, because they're trying, right? They're pushing their boundaries.
They're trying to be independent. They want to feel important, and they're not.
And they
yet.
have all the answers.
Of course, they do know everything, yes.
They do.
And so how do you work with that as a parent, right? You don't want to squash their spirit. You want them to be independent. You want to give
Just
them...
not right now when I'm talking.
Right.
You're right.
No, really, I promise you that homework has to be done.
Right, exactly.
Not right this second.
Yes. Yeah. So those type of scenarios that all of us work with every day, but sometimes we're so frustrated, we're so stressed at the end of the day that we forget that we're all just human and our kids are human too. So what do we do with that? What does that look like? What can we do self-care wise?
Well, and you can go in, and I'm literally speaking from experience here. You can get into a rut as a parent. So you work all day, right? There's sometimes you got to get the kids up, struggle to get them breakfast, get them out the door. Maybe you drop them off. That's a little chaotic. You go to work. Let's say you get off 5, 6, you come home, then you've got the battle over homework.
Yep.
And then by the time, you have that, I always joked with my daughter, it was a 2-hour battle to do 15 minutes of homework.
Yep.
And then once you're done, you're like, I just got to go to bed, and then it just starts all over again. So to have support and new tools, and I think what's cool about your methodology and the way you do it is, it's not just all one-on-one. You have a group of parents that have been there, done that, and they can learn and realize that they're not alone.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you for saying that. We do small groups and we do individual, obviously, on Zoom or one-on-one. But I love the small groups the best because the parents do open up with each other and they can tell each other, you know what worked for me? This worked for me. That didn't work for me. Or this was my experience. So you're right. Parents love to hear from other parents because a lot of times they're judging themselves. Just maybe they're not being judged, but they feel that they're being judged.
Well, I think something too that is happening, and I'm not calling my mom out, and I hope that she doesn't hear me say-
Attention,
Yeah,
Ms.
right.
Mock. Please watch this segment.
But she and I have had lots of conversations about this because we do have a lot of multi-generational families that are very close, like mine is. My parents are very close to my children, very involved in their day-to-day life. But the way that I was parented is not the way that you can parent children anymore.
Very true.
It's a different world. It's a different time. And my mom says that to me often. She's like, I never would have known what to do with you if that had happened when you were growing up. And so I think that, you have all these multiple personalities and multiple inputs in a very different world. And it's challenging. It's hard because I not only do I feel judged sometimes by my peers, by other parents, but by my own parents about the way that we're handling things or the way that we're doing things. And it's different.
I can relate to that too, definitely. My mother took redirecting children's behavior 3 times. And that was my mother.
Did she finally pass?
She did, yes.
She's teaching it now.
By the 3rd time she asked, by the time my children were getting to that age where they were pushing really hard, by the 3rd time she asked to take the class.
I'm sorry.
No.
So
it was
I'm
successful.
curious, Ashley, and then I know, Kim, you're kind of the expert here. What are some of the differences? Immediately when you said that, I'm like social media.
Well,
right?
Of course.
For
yes.
sure, social media. But I think too, like the peer pressure is different. The pressure to be involved, and what I want my daughters to be involved in is not the same things that their friends want them to be involved in, and so the perception of what that looks like is very different. It's different between my girls. They're very different, and the way they handle it is very different. There's a lot of things I think that come into play with their connectedness and the communication that they have. It's
The way
just
they communicate.
the way they communicate, which sometimes I look at them and I'm like, I have no idea what you just said. Like,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
no clue what
we
you
were-
just said.
Vocabulary is a big part of what we do in our classes.
No clue what
Yeah.
that
We had a fifth grade travel basketball tournament, and like literally, I was like, "Is there an app to like what's 6-7?
I wish
What's
there wasn't,
No.
right?
I don't even want to say them because I don't even know if they're supposed to be
Right.
appropriate.
You
I was
may
like-
not.
I was like, and I know I'm older, but I was even asking and they're like, we have no idea what that means either.
Well, and I think a big part of what you guys do too, which again is another big challenge, is navigating school with them.
Yes.
Because there are, I've had conversations with other parents every single night. Why is this your grade? Well, my teacher didn't do that. It's not your teacher's responsibility to do that. Why
Right.
did you not do it? And so I think, school's very different than
School
it
is
was
a lot
too.
different. I was going to say that the amount of hours they're in school,
Yeah.
the workload, the academic workload the kids have is a lot. It's a lot stricter than I had when I was in school. So, I do believe that is part of what our kids are. They're under more stress, I feel, than we ever were.
And now as parents, it's very transparent. You can say, well, you didn't turn in this homework.
Right.
When I was young, it was once a quarter,
Yeah,
and then you
you
found out how I
Believe me,
did.
there's still excuses for that.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
The teacher didn't
yeah.
put it in,
Oh,
or yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Skyward's not updated
Exactly,
every night.
yes.
Skyward's not updated.
Yes.
But I know that's a lot of conversation that you guys have with
It is,
parents
and
as well.
we open our classes to parents and grandparents, or aunts, or
Caregivers.
uncles, any caring adult, because we know, just like you said, the village, right? It does take a village, and that's aunts, uncles, grandparents, maybe the neighbor. It's whoever's actually caring for your child.
So we've talked about kind of your offerings, redirecting children's behavior, secrets of modern parenting, just to help with the tweens, PTC, parenting community connection,
People empowering
people empowering people. So if I'm a parent, grandparent, caregiver, and I'm like, you know what, I could reduce the stress in my life with this. How do they get a hold of you and find out all this information? Because we're just kind of scratching the surface of all that you do.
Really, we are, yes. So you may call us at 772-302-3147. Our website is familiesofthetreasurecoast.org. Or you can text us at the same number I gave you, 772-302-3147. You can email us, Kimberly at familiesofthetreasurecoast.org.
all the ways.
All the ways. I can't think of any other. Facebook. You can hit us up on Facebook or Instagram too. So we want to make sure that we are as easily accessible as possible. And our offerings are both in Port St. Lucie and Fort Pierce. So you can go anywhere in our county and reach our classes. If you don't have transportation, if you're unable to get out to our classes, we do them on Zoom. So you can always set up classes through Zoom too.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, but you don't always they're not in your office. You have host sites.
We do.
Which includes a lot of the faith community.
A lot of the faith community. Our next offerings in both Spanish and English, redirecting children's behavior, is at the Catholic Church in Port St. Lucie. So we do work with a lot of different faith communities and just our partnership communities. Sometimes we might be a Boys and Girls Club, maybe helping people succeed to set up one, and we're having it at a restaurant. So it really makes a difference for the families, however we can get as close to them as possible.
And I want to bring that up because somebody may be watching, and we have when we used to be on the radio on the Flame, we had a large
Yeah.
contingency in the faith community that would listen, and this is a great opportunity to help the members of your church. Because trust me, if you know a parent, trust me, there is times where they could use more
Yes.
tools, if you will.
And thank you for bringing that up. One of the things we really pride ourselves on is that we teach all of these skills and tools within your own belief and faith system. We're not here to teach you anything about your own values, your own morals. We're just here to help you do your best job parenting. So when it comes to that non-judgment, that comes from everywhere.
So we got a few minutes left, and I also want to talk about maybe some of your agency needs for the viewers who may have the capability to give. But real quick, you did mention PEP, People Empowering People. Can you
Yes.
just briefly synopsize that?
Yes, that is the program I've been actually doing a lot of education in. So it is near and dear to my heart. Really works with everybody 18 and over. This is about establishing leaders in our community. And these leaders go out and support other families through the knowledge of resources and maybe community supports. We want to make sure that when they go through that training, they're learning about civic engagement. They're learning how do you make a difference in your community? How do you engage with the school system? How do you go to the Board of County Commissioners? So it's all about teaching people to be leaders in their communities so that they can do that ripple in the pond effect, right? We impact one that impacts 10. So that program is really near and dear. At the end of that training, they do a community service project. And that could be anything. Maybe they see the need for a sidewalk in their community. Maybe they see a community garden. We did a great community garden a couple of years ago that's still up and going at White City Elementary. Maybe it's a church that wants to do a garden. Maybe they want to do a butterfly garden. So obviously we work together with those partnerships to find out what you need, and then we get our families who graduate that training to do that community service project.
I love that because, the only reason why we do this show, besides to entertain ourselves for a half hour, is to spread resources, knowledge about resources that are available. And we know not everyone's watching this TV show. But your program, because it empowers them to not only know how to engage with the community, but also to learn about resources that, to your point, if you train 10 and they touch 10, it's a multiplier effect, right? So that's very impactful.
Yes, that is the point. Because we have our Parent Warm Line, another little plug there, where we can be on call for you, 24/7. But isn't it great if your neighbor knows the resources and you just happen to mention, something happened and they're like, oh, CSC has an after-school program that would be great for your child. So that's where we want to be.
Yeah,
So
love
I'm
that.
glad you brought up the warm line. And 30 seconds are left because I want to make sure we're talking about your agency needs. The warm line, can you give that number and you can call that anytime?
That is our main number, text or call. It is manned 24/7.
Good morning, Kim.
Yes. But the goal of that is to be there when parents need us, because we know parents a lot of times will reach out, and I hate to use the word crisis, but they will reach out in a crisis. But once that crisis is over, they don't continue to look for help. So if they're having, those mornings where you're melting down,
Yes.
you can't get the kid on the bus, you can't get the breakfast made, you just want to cry in your cereal or coffee, give us a call, because we can look at it while it's happening. Okay, Miss Sarah, I see that happen to you. Maybe let's look at why this happened. Did this happen? Next time, let's try this approach. Next time, let's do this. Or when, Susie gets home, let's talk to Susie about this certain hack. So it really helps the parents, one, again, de-stress and realize they're not the problem. Everything's going to be okay, and there is somebody in their corner.
So we have a minute left. I want to make sure we touch upon this. You are a nonprofit organization. You're funded through us, but we don't fund everything that you do. I'm sure you have other needs. If anybody has the capacity to give, how do they get a hold of you, and what's your biggest need right now?
My biggest need is a board members. I would
Okay.
love to
Good.
have
Okay.
some really great new board members. We
Okay.
lost a few, we had some people move away. So I am actively looking for board members that would love to help a great organization do some really fun things.
And
I
they
know
can call
somebody
you?
that is very active in the
I
community
do
that
know
could be a
someone.
great board
Her name
member.
might have been mentioned earlier.
Oh,
I'll find her. They can
okay.
call you for that?
They can call me directly. I am, yes, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer. That's me.
All right, we're winding
Thanks
down.
so much,
Kim,
Kim.
you mentioned all the programs, the warm line, how to give back with board members. It's all the same number. Can you repeat that number?
772-302-3147.
Thanks
Awesome.
so much.
Thank you so much
Thanks
for coming
having
on.
me.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Tune in. Be sure to call Families of the Treasure Coast. And a simple reminder that it's our children, our community, our future. Now more than ever, folks, we're all in this together. We'll see you next month.